Becky.
I'm Sarah.
And this is Bickering Book Reviews. Today we are going to talk about the March graphic novels. We have with us here, this is book 2 and book 3. We don't have book 1 because there was a really long wait list and it had to get sent back. And these are written by Senator John Lewis. He's a senator, right? Congressman. John Lewis, Andrew Aydin, and Nate Powell. And these are the autobiographical story of John Lewis, who was a freedom writer during the civil rights, and he really fought for African American rights during the 60s and had success there, and became a senator from Atlanta, somewhere in Georgia.
Yeah, and he was at one point, leader of SNCC, the
Yes.
SNCC, it's the student committee that you'll hear talked about in many different civil rights era.
And if you are on Twitter at all, you know he's still a congressman.
Yeah. He's still fighting the fight, you know?
Right, and March number 3, I believe, broke records because a couple weeks ago it won it won the Prince Award for Best Teen Literature. It won for nonfiction. It won
Coretta Scott King.
And I believe it won 5. I can't remember what the other one was. So that's what March is. I enjoyed it. I think I liked the way that they told the story. I thought it was a good way to introduce these theories to teens who might not understand them. It's simple, but it's not condescending.
I really liked, they did it more in the first book than they did in the rest, but I liked how they paralleled what was going on currently to what was going on in the past. The first book had actually an older woman with her 2 grandchildren who were talking to Lewis about kind of the civil rights era, and it then progresses forward, and it's during it was his first inauguration. It was during President Obama's first inauguration.
And it really showed that what he did in the 60s still has a ripple impact today, because if he hadn't ridden the bus, Obama might not have been able to be the president.
Right, and I think that it adds a whole new layer, like the current presidency adds a whole new layer to this book, and like the terms that were used back in the civil rights era, you can kind of hear them being reused today in like news media and from different people in the government. So it definitely adds a whole new layer to this story than before, like back during Obama's presidency.
Even though it's historic, it's quite timely too.
Right. The thing that kind of really struck me about, I read the second and third book with like the last week, so I can't remember if it was the second or the third. I think it was the third. But Lewis says that at the March on Washington there were 9 speakers, and what he says in this book is that now, like current times, he's the only one left, and like that is just shocking to me. Because you're talking 40 years. Like it's not like 80 years ago. No, this is like 40 years. Like less than a lifetime ago, they're all gone. I mean, that's just shocking to me.
That's true. I didn't pick up on that, but that is very shocking.
Especially that the issues covered in this story are still very timely.
It's very timely.
The only problem that I had with these books was the illustrations for me just didn't cut it, because we're talking about very prominent figures: Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy, President Obama. But the illustrations, I couldn't tell that that's who they were drawing. Like, Martin Luther King didn't look like Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy didn't look like John F. Kennedy, and I couldn't pick out who Barack Obama was. I know what he looks like. I know what all of them look like. I just couldn't figure out who they were in this story.
See, and I didn't have that problem. And I don't know if I didn't have that problem because I was so familiar with it, so I automatically was like, oh, that's so-and-so.
Right, but I think that's the problem with the illustrations to the story, because if you don't have the historical background knowledge, you don't know who these people are.
But when I look at them now, I still think they look like
And
I don't know if it
I don't know if we're allowed to show the camera what they look like, because I was like holding it in front of people's faces, go look at this.
See, like I said, to me, it does. I was like, oh, okay, that's who that is, and that's who that is. And I mean,
Well,
graphic novels, they're never perfect.
I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but like these are like popular figures. Like you should be able to get the likeness down. And I mean, I think in the part where they talk about the bombing in one of the churches, I know at one point Martin Luther King was speaking, but I didn't know that was Martin Luther King, even though like historically I knew that it was Martin Luther King, but like visually it did not look like Martin Luther King, and if you didn't have that background, you wouldn't be able to connect it. Plus, some parts of the story were confusing because the action sequences illustrated in the graphic novel were difficult to match up with the story, so I got confused at certain parts.
Oh, I didn't have that problem.
Yeah, the illustrations kind of threw me. I mean, because the story is great, it needs to be put out there. I mean, it's super interesting. It really provides an in-depth explanation of what was going on during that time and how it relates to current times. I just think the illustrations weren't up to snuff for me.
So what's your score?
My score, I mean, it's going to be, so our rating system is up to 5 unicorns, down to 2 unicorns, or if we were, like, it really didn't hit it, it's just a horse because it doesn't deserve a horn.
Sure.
So I would give it 4 unicorns. Like, as a whole, I give it 4 unicorns.
And I gave it 4 unicorns too. I just, like I said, when I read it, I was like, this is such a great way to show modern teens who might not know this story.
Oh, yeah.
And it needs to be out in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where we are on March.
All right. Adios.
Bye.